This video is going to show you how to set up this vintage Zoom H2 handy recorder to a Windows PC running the Zoom conferencing system. No relation, these things have nothing to do with each other. The Zoom microphones were around for a long time before this. Now, why you might want to consider using this microphone is that it is a microphone that's made for musicians, so it has a higher quality than many low and mid-range computer microphones. It also is different from podcasting microphones such as a Yeti or a ball microphone, in that it can effectively capture sound from greater distances. Those other podcast microphones really want the speaker to be some inches away, and we see drastic changes in audio quality with little changes in motion. This microphone is much more tolerant of those differences. So to begin with, when you, in this configuration where we're setting this up as a USB microphone, you'll see here that one end of this USB cable is already set up and attached to my PC. And this could also apply to a Mac, it doesn't matter which. And the other end will be set up in this USB port. But first, I'd like to make a mention here that the USB will power this mic, so there is no need for an external power that could come from these batteries here, which are not in here, or from a 9-volt power supply. I'm going to attach the 9-volt power supply anyway, because that illuminates the display and makes it a little easier to see. Once you are familiar with this, you won't need this. But I'm going to notice that I'm going to leave the power off for now, because it makes setup much, much simpler. So here we are. You plug this in to your machine, and you can see now the display is lighting up and it's showing you the audio interface. There's a section here for storage, and there's a section here for audio IF. We're going to ignore the storage. What that does is that allows a card, that if you have a card on this recorder that you've recorded onto, it allows your PC to see it. But we're not going to be recording. We're just using this as an external microphone. So I need to explain the menu system a little bit before we get into it. The menu system on this device is run by these 4 buttons: skip back, record or red dot, skip forward, and menu. The forward and back buttons here, as you can see, choose on the menu what it is that is about to be selected. Can I zoom in on that a little tighter? Oh yeah, there we go. So as you can see, as I'm hitting the left button here, the arrow is going from storage to audio interface. So I'm going to select audio interface because we are going to connect this. When you do that, you see 2 choices here on this menu: frequency and connect. Frequency refers to something technical as the microphone sampling frequency. But for the purposes of this demonstration and for all practical purposes, the only thing you need to know is that you only have 2 choices. One of them works, the other one doesn't. Fortunately, it's very easy to find out which one you have set and whether it works or not. So before we do that, I'm going to go over to the connect menu, and I'm going to connect using this default frequency that was set here. So I'm going to connect, and it connects. And as far as the microphone is concerned, everything is just fine. It's recording, it has nice signal, it shows you this little view meter here. Going back to the PC though, come over here and let's see if we have detected it. So here in the audio interface, you can see select the microphone. Let me just zoom in on that. And this microphone appears as the H2 audio microphone. So we are going to select that. Please note that in some cases, when you connect one of these to your PC, sometimes the headphones also appear to be on the H2 audio. That's a very nice setting if you want to plug in a set of headphones to the phones and line out a port to this. That allows you to hear what the microphone is hearing as well as your Zoom conferences. We're not going to do this in this case because if you're recording like a group discussion or something, there will be no headphones. Anyway, this is now connected, but we have a problem. We are just being advised that your microphone is not working. Please check your connection or use a different mic. Happily, those aren't our only two choices. We can fix this using the same connection and the same mic. We don't even have to break the connection. Well, actually, we do. So we are going to go into the menu from here by selecting the menu button. And you see a slightly different menu. This is the USB audio interface menu that you get when you hit the menu from this screen. And the nice thing about this menu system is rather than having to go down through 45 options, you can arrow back and go up to the previous screen. And this says exit, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to exit out of here. We're going to terminate the connection. Notice that red dot there means press the red dot, so we're going to do that. So now we see a thing that says there's no card, because now it's reverting back to I'm just going to be a recorder. Don't worry about that. It says hit menu, so we hit menu. So we're back to this USB audio interface menu. Now we're going to go in and change the frequency. So I hit enter here for the frequency, arrow down, or I can arrow up to select the other choice, 48 kilohertz, whatever that means. And now we are going to connect again. Connect, and we see this nice little happy menu, I'm recording sound. Now over here, because this works, you get a little prompt and it says your default microphone has changed and we will now be used. So you come into your audio menu and you can see that the system has checked that it is using the microphone for the H2 audio. And we can test this, and you always should test this. So you can either test the speaker and the microphone, which is fine, but I know the speaker works. So I'm just going to go into audio settings. I'm going to test the microphone from here. Turn this all the way up. So I'm going to test the microphone from here. Hello from Zoom. Turn up the volume. Let's try that again. Hello from Zoom. Hello from Zoom. And that's a little strong, so I can turn that down just a bit. Try this again and see if we can get that without distortion. Hello from Zoom. Hello from Zoom. A little bit too much. Anyway, you get the idea. So now this Zoom microphone, you can go ahead and use it as your default microphone in your Zoom meeting. There are a couple of other features that some people might want to know about. Some of my friends who I'm making this video for are usually in a group situation where they are reading or chanting a text aloud and accompanying it with instruments. Sometimes these instruments are gongs and drums, which are very percussive. And sometimes those gongs and drums can distort the sound that is coming into Zoom. And of course, the first way, if you are in such a situation, is you make sure that your original sound for musicians is on. And there are a couple of things you can do inside this microphone that you can't do anywhere else that will help adapt to these conditions. Back into menu, and here in this USB audio interface menu, you see a couple of more choices here. We're going to go into the one that's called AGC Comp. So we're going to arrow down into that. Oh, not tuner, overshot that. AGC Comp, and hit the red button and enter into it. And you see a couple of things. AGC stands for automatic gain control. This is a nice feature to have if people talk quietly and then softly and then quietly and then loudly and then even more loudly. It will try and raise the recording volume at the microphone to keep those levels on an even keel. It has two slightly different settings. You might want to try and play around with these to see if these help you. I would recommend, if you're doing this on a Zoom recording, you can just try this and then while you're recording the Zoom, if it's your own Zoom, and listen for the differences. You might not hear very many differences. Another setting you can use is called compression. And what compression does, and this might be handy if you have, say, somebody who speaks very, very softly, you can get the microphone to raise the volume of very low sounds while keeping a steady volume for the peak sounds. This is kind of a little bit the opposite of what we want to do, because in a chanting and drumming situation, you have peak sounds and you want them to still be, actually somewhat muted. That takes us to the next set of settings, which are called limiters. Limit 1, limit 2, and limit 3. Again, you can experiment with these, but limiters are made exactly for this situation where you have like a peak sound, such as a rap here, and you don't want it to distort, but you still want your other levels to come in just fine. So what you can do to find this again is you would go into your USB audio interface menu, and you could hit exit and terminate the connection. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to, how do you get out? You actually hit menu to dismiss this menu. You're back to your USB audio interface. You decide that you want to change something. Go into menu again, arrow down to AGC comp, and here are your gain control and your compression settings. Try these. You might not notice a difference. You might find that it helps you. Whatever works for you. Thank you. I hope you found this helpful. And if you didn't, or you have questions for the people for who this is directed to, you know how to find me. Good night and good luck.